Hey fellow gamers, my name is Dmitry and welcome to my channel. Recently I had the chance to volunteer at Toronto Game Expo 2024 and while volunteering was quite a fun experience, my main focus was on how indie developers market their games during this event. I also had the chance to record some interviews with developers who were presented on this event and capture overall vibrant gaming atmosphere. So stick around as I take you behind the scenes from developers' booths to the best moments of the expo. Let's dive in. The moment I stepped into the Toronto Game Expo, I was blown away by the sheer number of people in attendance. I honestly didn't expect such a massive turnout, and it was incredible to see it. What struck me most was the sense of connection among fans who shared love for games in one place. What made the expo truly special was its diversity. It wasn't just about video games, there were also unique toys and an incredible variety of board games on display. Whether you are a die-hard gamer, a board game enthusiast, or just someone looking for a fun time, there was something for everyone, regardless of age. The expo was filled with a sense of nostalgia. There were booths dedicated to games for classic consoles, and to my surprise and delight, I even found one of my favorite childhood games about ancient monsters escaping Pandora's box into the modern world. It was an incredible experience to reconnect with the past and see how these timeless games still spark joy among fans of all ages. Another highlight of the expo was the amazing cosplayers. I can only imagine how challenging it must be to create such detailed and accurate costumes, many of which are specifically made for competitions. And if wearing the costume isn't enough, some cosplayers even perform dances, like the talented performer in this video. It's a truly a labor of love and dedication to their craft. Cosplayers bring games to life, adding a vibrant energy to the event and showing just how deeply people connect with their favorite characters and stories. Their presence made the expo even more unforgettable. Now let's move on to my main object of interest, game developers and publishers. One of the standout experience for me was visiting the booth of Whitethorn Games, an indie game publisher known for their inclusive, accessible, and stress-free games. Their booth immediately grabbed my attention with its stunning winter-themed design, which perfectly captured the friendly personality of their brand. They showcased two fantastic games. The first was Mythwrecked Ambrosia Island, an open-world adventure where players explore a mythical island, uncover secrets, and build friendships with Greek gods to restore their memories. The second was Slime Heroes, a delightful game where adorable slimes take on heroic roles to save their world from a mysterious corruption. Both games embody Whitehorn's philosophy of creating games that are fun, engaging, and easy for anyone to pick up and play, regardless of experience. And what really stood out to me was the passion of the Whitehorn team. They eagerly shared the unique features and stories behind their games, explaining the thought process and creativity that went into making them. Their dedication to crafting enjoyable experiences was truly inspiring, and it is a shining example of how a strong mission and clear identity can resonate deeply in the competitive world of indie gaming. Let's talk about the Edge of Allegoria by Joe Picknell from Button Factory Games. Their booth immediately caught my eye with its bold green theme. Everything from the decor to the gaming controllers and even figures of the game's characters was designed in the game's signature green color. It was clear that a lot of thought went into creating a booth that stood out and reflected the unique vibe of the game. What makes this game truly unique is its daring tagline: it's bold, it's provocative, and it grabs your attention right away. That edgy tone isn't just for show, it's part of the game's storytelling and overall feel, which makes it stand out from other titles at the expo. The green visuals are not just for looks, they set the mood for the game and make it instantly recognizable. It's a great example of how using a strong and consistent design can help a game make a big impact. So Joe and his team have done an amazing job of embracing what makes their game different. It's a great lesson in how indie games can stand out by being true to their identity and daring to be a little bit different. Another standout game at the expo was Make a Hit. This retro themed game is a brilliant mix of puzzle solving and idle gameplay, offering a fun and nostalgic experience for players. What makes this game truly unique is its soundtrack. Inspired by the golden age of pop from the 80s and 90s, the developers crafted tracks using authentic instruments from that era. The result is a collection of feel-good tunes that evoke a strong sense of nostalgia, keeping players engaged and entertained. From a marketing perspective, this game leverages nostalgia and creativity to deliver a standout experience. Its combination of music production, puzzle mechanics, and vibrant retro visuals positions it as a unique offering in the market. With its addictive gameplay, captivating visuals, and immersive soundtrack, it's set to resonate strongly with casual gamers and music lovers alike. Now we are moving to the most interesting part of this video, the series of interviews with publishers and developers. We are going to start with Whitethorn Games. I have talked with Lisa, who is Director of Communications, and I really like their clear positioning. They position themselves as stress-free and easygoing games. That's what we really need in the modern world, I think. So let's dive in. How do you approach accessibility and inclusivity in your game design?
That's a great question. A lot of the times, developers know us for our reputation. So we tend to attract a lot of developers who are already very excited about creating games that are inclusive, representative of the players that are playing these games, but also as accessible to as many people as possible. Like every other game, like the games industry is kind of growing and has a long way to go in terms of accessibility just in general, and we're all aware of that. We try to share as much knowledge with each other as possible. At here at Whitethorn Games, we have a accessibility and usability uh, support system where we'll review games for developers and give them ideas about what improvements can be made, um, things they might have missed in terms of like uh, unintended barriers, because that's really what we're looking for when we're talking about accessibility. It's not to make the game easy for easy for everyone to play, but more so that there are that players who are participating in these games are not experiencing any barriers that are not intended to be in the game kind of thing. So we'll do reviews. We do reviews with play testing. We have an understanding of certain accessibility things to look out for. We provide them with ideas on what they can change, and the developers themselves will implement changes that they can. Most of our teams are very small teams, so they are doing their best to be as accessible as possible. Um, if things don't come out for launch, a lot of them will try hard to have things coming out after launch. So, yeah, pretty much. I hope that answers the question.
As a publisher, how do you stand out in the crowded gaming market when promoting games?
A lot of that goes to the types of games that we have on board, really. We have a really great community of players who know us for the very things that you were talking to me about today. Our inclusivity, our representation, our accessibility. And we ensure that, when they come to Whitethorn Games, they know exactly what kind of games that they're going to be getting. In terms of like just straight up marketing things to do, we try to be as communicative as possible, really, to make sure players are very aware of things that uh, they're interested in our games. And it doesn't hurt. Sorry, it helps a lot. It doesn't hurt that a lot of our games are just really great. So that also brings in a lot of people and keeps them within our community.
How does community feedback influence the development and publishing of your games? And what methods do you use to actively engage with your audience?
It really depends a lot on uh, what's possible for the developer to do and the type of feedback that they're getting. We're really lucky that a lot of the feedback that we get is just really helpful. Um, for example, we recently released a demo for a game, and a lot of our community members have jumped into our Discord and shared their thoughts about it. A lot of people have shared their thoughts on feedback forms that we create, that the developers have created. And the developers really want to know what people are thinking and how they're playing their games because it really helps inform them um, you know, what things they might want to change, what things they might want to, refine a little bit. Oftentimes, a developer won't get a chance to see how people play their games, and so the way they intend the game to be played isn't always going to be played that way, right? So, our developers really take you know are really grateful for a lot of the constructive feedback that they do get. Well, not all of it can be implemented. They'll have a reason if it can't, obviously, but they a lot of times consider they'll be presented with something they didn't really consider before, and they find that incredibly helpful, from what I'm told from them anyway.
If resources were unlimited, what dream game would you love to bring to life?
Ooh, so Whitethorn Games is a publisher, right? I think our strength lies in helping indie developers find their place within the gaming landscape and just helping them along, bringing them to launch, helping them get into platforms and things like that. So I can't really say that what would be a game that Whitethorn Games would make because I think that would be taking away from the developers that we have been so lucky to work with. Um, I think all of the games that we've produced have come from really amazing teams, and they do a really good job of exemplifying all of our values because they believe those values themselves. I feel like this is kind of a non-answer for you, but I feel like it fits a little bit more than us saying what kind of game would we make. Well, it's more about the kinds of games that um, the developers who are part of our umbrella are making, and they're doing a great job. I can't complain, and I can't champion them enough. And I'm not just saying that because I'm their communications director. I'm saying that because I genuinely love working with all of our teams and really excited about all the games that we've been putting out with them.
Where can players find and support your games, and what's the best way to stay connected with your brand?
Oh, absolutely. So you can follow us on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at whitethorngames.com. You can join our official Discord. You'll find that in pretty much all of our bios on our social media. It's the official Whitethorn Games Discord where we have different sections for each of the games and they can come and talk about their favorite games. You can also find us on Twitch and YouTube, also Whitethorn Games. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. You can join our newsletter. You can find that also in our bios. It's the link to sign up for that. And find us at trade shows, I guess. Come to PAX. Come to Toronto Game Expo. You'll probably see us there.
The second interview that I recorded is going to be with Joe, who is the developer of the Edge of Allegoria. His game really resonated with me with its green color and its provocative mood. So let's ask some questions to Joe about it. What inspired the concept and the unique green visual style of the Edge of Allegoria?
For the green, I mean, green is my favorite color. That's just kind of like that's the first thing is just it's my favorite. So I think if it wasn't my favorite, I probably would have stopped making this game a while ago. Because I'm kind of getting sick of it at this point, but thankfully because it's my favorite color, I'm still working on it. Now the Game Boy, kind of that old green, like a lot of old computers had like the green kind of screen, and the Game Boy screen, it had that green tint to it. So I wanted to capture that kind of that nostalgic essence of the old computer screens and the old handheld, gaming screens. Um, and the green palette, it spoke to me. I started doing pixel art back in 2021. I mean, I've been doing pixel art for a long time. But I started like creating pixel art and sharing it online back in 2021. And I found the green color palette online and made like some slight adjustments to it. And I just kind of fell in love with the simplicity of it. And I really liked having the limitations of only having four colors when coming up with designs for tiles, like for the grass and the trees and the different character designs. I really liked having that sort of arbitrary limitation on the colors, that it kind of forced me into a box and forced me to think outside of a box and like really get creative with the designs.
What was the biggest challenge you faced during the development of your game?
Doing everything myself kind of comes with uh its own hurdles. I definitely struggled a lot with a variety of things, but I think the most difficult has always been the marketing, and just getting the messaging out has been extremely difficult for me. Like motivation to post on social media regularly and come up with content to, share with the world has always been something that's like, do I have to do that really? But I understand how important the marketing and visibility side of developing a game is. So it's sort of like one of those things I just had to force myself to do. I'm not really a very social person, so and my primary method of marketing and getting the word out has been through social media, and like that's the key word there, is being social. So it was just, I've always kind of been at odds with my choice of marketing techniques. So that has kind of made marketing very, very difficult. That being said, there's a few things that I also struggled with, like writing, like the narrative side and dialogue and all of that. That was something that I went into this game with zero confidence. I really did not think that I would be able to craft an engaging, epic story. I mean, it's an RPG; it's got to have a story. That's what people play RPGs for. Um, and I really didn't think that I'd be able to do that, but I decided early on that I was going to just write what I know and not think too hard about like the messaging or what I meant by what I was writing,
Hmm.
and things like that. Like I kind of just tried to let my subconscious run wild, and I found that it made it a lot easier. And the more I did it, the easier it got. Um, and then I think I ended up overcoming that one fairly quickly. But even then, it's still like putting yourself in the headspace, the mind space of each different character to try to make them believable as an individual in a world. It's an emotionally draining task to try to put yourself in the shoes, especially in the world that I've crafted where everything sucks all the time. It's like it can be pretty like it can make you feel pretty down at the end of the day. I remember there's one character I was writing, and when I finished doing her dialogue, I had to close the computer and just take a break. Like I think I
Hmm.
walked away from the game for at least a day just to kind of refocus myself because it was such a like it was almost like I had unresolved stuff inside that I hadn't quite come to grips with or even given any attention. And in writing that character, it like brought up a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know was there. That I was like, oh, I, I, I'm upset by this. I need to like, I need a day to chill out after that. So like that has been, I mean, it's been rewarding to do that. It's been definitely something that on a personal level has been very fulfilling to kind of work through things. Um, but you know, that does get you. It's definitely not as difficult as just getting that motivation to, you know, create some kind of new media asset or something that I need to share, you know, on different social media platforms to try and just like spread the word. That one's just been something that I don't like doing at all.
Yeah, and my favorite piece of content was when somebody printed a tattoo on his body. Like it was really funny and exciting. I like it.
That's me. That's me. I
It was you.
Yeah, that was me. That was one of the things with my Discord community. If I succeeded at my Kickstarter,
Oh.
if the Kickstarter succeeded, I would get a tattoo of the character of from my game. And everyone I wanted to put it to a vote, but everybody was like, "You got to get it tattooed on your ass." I was like, "No, definitely not." Um, my wife was definitely very much opposed to that as well, so I opted to get the guy tattooed on my leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Personal example is the best example.
Yeah, exactly. And like I can't thank I mean, I can't thank my Discord community enough for all the support that they've given me. They've been such an extraordinary help throughout the entire development of this game. And I really wanted to give them what they wanted, but I drew the line at getting a tattoo on my ass. If any of them are watching, I'm sorry, guys.
Who is the target audience for the Edge of Allegoria, and how do you connect with them?
That that's an interesting one because like I never really approached the Edge of Allegoria from a marketability point of view. My target audience is myself. I like first and foremost, I wanted to make a game for me, and you know, if anybody else enjoyed it, that was just a bonus. Like it really just started as a hobby of mine that you know I was working on part time, kind of just building it, and it eventually turned into the game that it is. It was one of those like that Field of Dreams kind of deal. Like if you build it, they will come kind of situation where I decided I'm gonna do this for me because it's what I want to do. And then people started sort of they would find my Instagram account or my Twitter account or you know this that or the other thing, and they would just kind of come out of the woodwork as time went on, and it was very organic the way that my audience kind of built. That being said, I now have a publisher, Cobra Teku Games, who they've been handling the marketing and PR side of things, and they kind of took my I'm making a game for myself to set the target audience as just like 30 something year old guys who grew up playing Game Boy games.
Mhm.
um and that kind of that's I think that's helped. They've definitely helped me to increase wish lists. They've more than doubled at this point since I've
Mhm.
signed with them. And like all of the events and everything that we've gone to, and interviews, things like that I've done. They've really kind of helped me to focus more on the audience and targeting specifically who I should be focusing on from a demographic point of view. That being said, I do
Mhm.
still kind of go off a little bit on my own and just like if there's somebody around that's willing to hear me yammer on about my game, then I absolutely will. There's no sense in letting that fish get away kind of thing. But there's definitely a lot more of a focus when it comes to things like paid media or which outlets or something to schedule an interview with and things like that. Like that's definitely been they've been very helpful in helping me to find my target audience with a little bit more focus than what I had before.
What has been your primary strategy to generate interest and buzz around the game?
I mean, there's been a few like beats as the game has gone on. There was like when I created a Discord so that people could join in and had like there was that always that little bit of a lead up, so like an announcement with like a countdown or something like that. It's like I'm going to be creating a Discord and everybody can join and whatever. Um, and then scheduling like an AMA, like Ask Me Anything, like Q&A session or something like that. That was how I sort of launched the Discord, was like, hey, you can come in and then we're going to do a little Q&A thing. Everybody's going to get to know each other. And if people have questions about the game, then we can kind of go from there. Um, and then the next beat was introducing the alpha version of the demo, and it was very like when I did that, it was very bare bones, very like just the character walking around the world. You could go and explore, and that was about it. There wasn't really much
Mhm.
else that you could do. Um, but in doing that and sort of allowing people to come in the early phases, it allowed people to feel involved and to have their opinions and ideas heard and sometimes implemented, a lot of times implemented into the game. Like my Discord community has been extraordinarily helpful with like game mechanics, quality of life improvements, like adding little things here and there, like little prompts on the screen. When you open a chest, if you find a new weapon, it asks you if you want to equip it or if you want to put it away. Um, things like that. Like having that, having a Discord and having the direct line of communication with your players has been extremely helpful in refining the game and making sure that it's something that it not only I enjoy, but the players will enjoy as well. And then sort of as it went, is like every beat came with some kind of social media, uh, something or other. Like I'd post on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. Um, Everything would always come with some kind of social media something as well. It all just went hand in hand. Right up until the Kickstarter, I did that with the I did some paid media like ads on like Facebook and Instagram. I did some ads. I think I ran some like promotional videos on TikTok or something like that for the Kickstarter. um, Google ads, things like that. I did some paid media a little bit, but I think the success really of the Kickstarter came down to the community that I had built, especially the Discord. Like everybody in the Edge of Allegoria community kind of came together and really rallied in the last few days to kind of get the word out and bringing people in and just pushing it right over the top. And we ended up succeeding and then some. And actually hit our first stretch goal because of everything that the community did to support the game. So I think it's like building that core community to start and really like appreciating their input and letting them know how much you appreciate it. Like people love to be appreciated, and I really do appreciate my community. So it's just sort of like it became like there's almost a sense of ownership over the game for the people that have supported it. They feel almost I mean I can't speak for all of them, but I'm sure there are a few that feel somewhat responsible for where the game's at now, and I hope they do because they've really I couldn't have done it without them.
What's next for the Edge of Allegoria after its upcoming release on December 4th? Are there any post-launch updates or expansions planned?
I never say never. I've been saying that a lot lately. There's always potential for more. That being said, it is a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 hour long game, depending on how much you like to explore, how much of a completionist you are, if you want to get all the achievements and everything. You could be in there for quite a while. There is a lot of content right now. But that being said, there's nothing's off the table. There could be potentially some more content in the future. I do have some ideas bouncing around in my head. There's also I'm looking at like we're looking at how the PC release does to kind of see what the response is, and looking at could we maybe port to consoles or mobile or whatever. Nothing's set in stone, but it's just sort of like these things are all waiting in the wings to kind of we want to see how the release of the game goes and then go from there. I don't want to like make any promises that I can't deliver on or anything like that,
Mhm.
but there are things in waiting in the event that the possibility is there. Other things like, there's potential. It's such a big world. There's all this lore and history. There's potential for sequels, prequels, things like that. There's a lot of stuff that could possibly happen, but it's all just waiting to see how people respond to this game. I mean, if people don't like it, I gotta change direction and think of something else to do next. You know.
Where can people find and support the Age of Allegoria?
Right here, right in this spot right here. Ooh, beautiful QR code floating in the air.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
great.
check out the Edge of Allegoria on Steam. You can wishlist it now. There's a demo. It's about 2 to 3 hours long. Full game comes out on December 4th. You get 20, 30 hours of gameplay, and your save file from the demo carries on to the full version, so you can pick right up where you left off. Also, you can follow me on social media. I'm it's underscore AVG underscore Joe. Pretty much everywhere. Basically, if you're on social media on whatever website, I'm probably there too. So just keep a lookout for me there. And then my Discord. The links for all of my stuff are on the Steam page.
And the last interview we are going to have is with Billy's Cookies, who are the developers of the game Make a Hit. I'm going to interview two from this studio, Vlad and Jonathan. They are the group of students from Centennial College, and I find it quite fascinating to learn something new from beginning game developers. and learn their perspective on their project. So let's dive in. What inspired the concept of Make a Hit? How did the idea of combining puzzle solving, idle gameplay, and music production come to life?
So, as a person who was responsible for art and audio, uh, I just want to start with my personal story here, and it's best to start from afar. And so, when I was a kid, a significant part of my childhood was actually spent watching MTV and listening to my parents' collection of cassettes. And despite the popularity of CDs at that time, it actually held more interest for me as a child. And as a result, visually, contextually, the game was like a composite image of my personal TV watching experience, from old shows and cartoons like to 90s music videos. And however, since it's still a game, right, and you play the game, context alone is not enough. And after a lot of iteration, after a lot of experimentation with like different mechanics, we in the end we just came up with a game mechanic that actually worked well, of combining tapes on the screen.
Who is the target audience for Make a Hit? How do you hope to connect with both casual gamers and music enthusiasts?
So Make a Hit's target audience right now is basically anyone who enjoys matching puzzle games. We are leaning into nostalgia quite a bit. We're focusing on sort of the nostalgia of the 80s and 90s, which tends to target an audience between the ages of 25 to 35 or 40. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Oh yeah. So the reason why we aim for this specific age gap. Oh, sorry, not age gap, like age group. It's because we did a lot of research. We showcase our game in many different events like GameCon Canada, like CNE, and we realized that people in this age group like enjoy game like so much because they really like nostalgia effect, like that plays a huge role in their experience, and also they really like meditative gameplay where you don't have to rush. You can like think, try to analyze all possible moves, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you mentioned catering to a wide audience. First, casual gamers, I think we've already got that down because Make a Hit it's pretty easy to learn, but it's tough to master. So we've got the casual to, mid-core gamers down. The challenge right now for us actually is with music enthusiasts. We've got some great music in the game, thanks to Vlad, who composed all the music in the game. But what we've learned is that there's a bit of a disconnect between gameplay and the theme, where the theme is about creating music, but gameplay is really just solving a puzzle. So this is one of the challenges. You're kind of highlighting one of the challenges we're actively working on right now. And our solution currently is, and we're still exploring this. We have a lot of testing to do, but is to add a sort of rhythm mechanic as a reward to executing the match as well. If you play well, then you're rewarded with this rhythm sort of mini game, and then you get to kind of, make the music by playing the rhythm game essentially.
The game soundtrack is a standout feature. Can you tell us more about the process of creating authentic tracks inspired by 80s and 90s pop?
Sure. Uh, Actually, like to be honest, before I worked on the game, my background as a musician, as a composer, uh, consisted mostly of working with rock music, with this genre like punk rock or metal, and it was actually because of the context of the game, it was actually quite interesting for me to like dive deeper into the world of like 80s and 90s music and learn more about it and the way it was created that time. And basically, I tried to keep the soundtrack believable, more accurate by using popular drum machines and synthesizers of that time, such as like the most popular one, probably Roland TR-808, or and also a Roland Jupiter 8. And they were actually my favorite instruments, and I really enjoyed myself like during the process. So basically, yeah, that's it.
If you could collaborate with any musician or band for the game, who would it be?
That's actually a really interesting question. And honestly, as a game developer who tries to be visible among other like huge and popular games, it's we actually would really like to work with a like hidden gems, like hidden indie artists that are still talented, because there's a lot of indie artists that uh, do makes really good music and nobody knows about them. So it would be really cool to collaborate with such artists. And
Yeah, I agree with Vlad. It'd be really cool to work with indie artists. I have a lot of friends who are in the indie space. It'd be cool to work with them and work with people in their network. If I could wave a magic wand and choose a band to work with from the past, it would probably be Daft Punk. I know that's not possible now because they've disbanded, but that would be the band that I would choose. The artists, I guess I would choose.
yeah, if we try to talk about like a bigger artist, so I would actually love to work with Chappell's own producer, Dan. He's a really talented guy, and the way he composes the music also he kind of like all the time he tries to lean to like 90s music, like all this retro vibe. And yeah, that would be really cool to work together, obviously, yeah. Too.
What's next for Make a Hit? Are there plans for updates or expansions? And where can people read about your game?
Make a Hit is still in very early development. Our release date right now, tentative release date, is Q3 2025. So we have a lot of time that we plan on adding features to the game. First and foremost, the first thing we need to work on now, as we take in user feedback, is this rhythm mechanic I mentioned before. We need to build it. We've already designed it. We need to build it, and then we need to test it. So there's going to be a big chunk of time focused on that. Um, After we determine whether that's a good feature and we integrate it into the existing core mechanic, we have this huge list of mechanics we want to add that really leans into the roguelike nature of the game that we're going for. It's going to be a puzzle game, but there's going to be a roguelike component. Things like power-ups, consumables, special cassettes, and we even have a narrative in the works. We realized that this notion of slotting tapes into cassettes into slots and having music could also have instead audio logs or something of the sort, where we don't actually have the exact narrative written yet, but maybe the composer has a story to tell, and we can slowly release that story through gameplay, and sort of hook the player there. They want to know what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
Yeah.
in terms of sorry to interrupt, in terms of where you can find the game, you can play the earliest version of Make a Hit Classic. You can find that on itch.io, which has the core game loop, the very basic core game loop that sort of inspired us to continue with this project. Anybody can play that for free.
Thank you for joining me on this journey through Toronto Game Expo. I hope you really liked it. If you want to see more content like this, press thumbs up and subscribe on my channel, as it will greatly help me to grow. I really appreciate your attention to my content, so I'm going to have more content like this in the future, so stay tuned. Until next time, keep gaming and keep creating. See you!